Ben, it's really good to see you again. And I was wondering if you could actually just start by introducing yourself and sharing your role and then your company.
Sure. So my name is Ben LeClaire. I work with S&Y Industries in Winville, Kansas. We are initially a PCB house, and then we've moved into a wire harness shop also as kind of a value-added thing. And now that has grown leaps and bounds also. So that is where my area is at. I'm program manager over the wire harness division. I also do the quoting, and I also do the purchasing for this division. It's not small either, but it's a good sized division. We just have a lot of stuff that we do, a lot of working parts. So that's what I'm over. We've been doing this for a few years now, and love what's going on with Cableteque and what we're able to use and utilize through them.
Yeah, no, it's we're super excited with how much you use the system. And I was wondering, how did you first hear about us?
Oh, well, we were actually, Matt and I were at a CalcuQuote conference and were introduced to Aiden's father, and we're talking to him and another guy about it, and we were just dying to find something like this because we knew at the time that CalcuQuote was not able to support what we needed to do. It was just, it seemed like you were fighting against yourself to do a wire harness quote in CalcuQuote at the time. And so we got together with them, and they told us that they got this software out, and our minds were blown, and we just loved it. We loved the idea of it, wanted to get with them as soon as we could. And then a few months later, we talked to Aiden, and everything went on, and we got involved with it.
You touched on something there, is that you were using CalcuQuote as a solution, and I want to ask you a solution to what? What were you trying to solve with CalcuQuote, or what were the challenges that you were facing before you went to Quoteteque?
Sure. So CalcuQuote is mostly for like PCB quoting. That's its bread and butter, and it can be manipulated to use to do the wire harnessing part, because a lot of PCB boards have wire harnesses that'll be attached to it as what we call a value added thing. These are the stuff that we're doing now is not value added. It is completely wire harness, fully trailer harness type stuff. And to be able to do some of the calculations and understand it, it became way too granular. You had way too much stuff that you were having to plug in and do. It could compute it, but it didn't understand what you were talking about because it was used to talking PCB. And so the differences there were made it much longer. It's at times much harder to get everything through. Worked great. It still got through, and the interface was good. It's just for what we had, we were trying to get rid of some time to save some time for us.
Yeah, and you know what was your biggest pain point in that process? You mentioned that it wasn't quite speaking wire harness language. What exactly does that mean, and where did you see the most friction with that?
Well, it's odd because I think the first time we saw it was when we viewed Cableteque for one of the first times, and we saw what it could do. We were like, wow, this is kind of inferior at the moment to it. It can do it, but the ability that Cableteque had to recognize wire, to recognize cable, and even the software of it is similar in how it works through, but man, the friction points, labor is always a friction point. It's just become very difficult to handle doing labor in that.
We just released our labor automation today, so you'll be seeing that soon.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Yeah, sorry, go
ahead. Just things like that, friction points of not having to put in all of the lengths of your wire and lengths of your cable, and not being able to have that data automatically grabbed like it does in Cableteque. I mean, that there's some tools that are just amazing. You didn't even know that they existed, that Cableteque has, that CalcuQuote didn't have. And so yeah, that's kind of where it was at.
So were you even looking for a solution before you ran into us, or was it kind of something where you're just like, holy crap, we need this?
Well, we were looking, but we kind of had come to the point where we thought there's nothing out there. There's nothing that we can find that will do exactly what we want it to do. And with us finding CalcuQuote was a great fit for us. They did everything that we wanted them to do. And so then when we go searching for something for cable, we want that to do exactly what CalcuQuote did for us. And so it was kind of a tall order to meet, but it's happened. It's been great. It works just exactly like we want it to. We just have to learn the new way of doing it. You know, everything's a little different, but yeah, it's that's it really.
And you touched a little bit about what stood out from CalcuQuote or from Cabletech compared to CalcuQuote and why you guys decided to go with us. But what was that most important factor or factors that really tipped you over?
I would say the upload was probably one of the biggest ones. Being able to upload a PDF or something and it automatically pull all of your data off of it. That's huge. Being able to build our database to where it will actually pull our CTEC information and put it in. And even as I'm finding out, we'll take, if we have IPN numbers, it will recognize IPN numbers and pull the MPN number off of it. So it's built literally to do what we need it to do. But that upload of uploading your print or uploading your drawing to it and what it will do is just amazing. I mean, we'll take stuff at times that we don't even need and just upload it on there so we can see what it looks like and see what it does. And sometimes you can pull the stuff off of there quicker than you could just manipulate it in Excel or whatever program you're going to use it in.
You mentioned CTEC, and I want to dive in a little bit about that. It's a pretty common ERP. We see it all the time. We love working with CTEC users because we integrate directly, like Tell us a little bit about if that played into your decision at all. Did you know at the time that we integrated with CTEC?
I don't think we specifically knew at the time, but like on one of our first interviews with you guys, we asked the question and you said yes, and that made it much better because again, CTEC is for us is kind of like CalcuQuote. It works very good for what we're doing, and so then to be able to take it and know that it integrates directly to Cabletech, there's just nothing that beats it. You don't have to do all the extra legwork, all the data entry, all the uploading all your new stuff to a new program or to a new platform. None of that. It's automatic. It's there, and so that saves you so much time. And that's the whole reason why we're doing this is because we don't have the time to be doing data entry and doing some of this stuff. We need to actually get quotes through, get them done, and get them back to customer.
Yeah, no, we understand that. I think that's the whole reason we built the software. It's a problem that we've seen in the industry for so long, and as you're talking a little bit about CTEC, I was wondering just before we switch gears, is there a favorite part of that CTEC integration that you have, or is it just all good stuff?
Probably that IPN number thing is very detrimental for us because we actually do some stocking agreements with some of our suppliers, and so we have to have the IPN number set up. But if it didn't recognize that when we're searching for something, we're searching for the material part number, it's almost kind of dead in the water to us, and then we're going to have to put all that data back in again. But it doesn't. It actually sees that, so that was a huge thing for us.
Yeah, and I think that's something that I wouldn't even think about at first is the stocking agreements. It's a great point. Um, Shifting gears and a last little question on kind of your decision making. Was there ever a moment where you just realized this is the right solution?
Yeah, I think right after we talked with Aiden, and it was one of our beginning interviews. Matt and I were talking after, and he says, if it does what they're saying it's going to do, will that save you time? And so when we first got into it, I took and went through and tested it. Basically, went through and did what I was doing um, with CTEC or with CalcuQuote, did it through just like I normally would, and then I came back and did the exact same quotes with Cableteque, and it it blew it out of the water. It really did. I mean, it was a matter of 40 minutes for one and 10 minutes for the other. But because everything was already done when you got into it, there was no preparation beforehand. And when I told Matt that, he's like, "Man, we've got to get it in. If it's going to save, it has the potential to save that much time for us. It's worth it." And I think that's kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for us.
That's what I love to hear. And I think that's a perfect segue into, talking a little bit more about your experience. And, I think the first place to start is the first place we started, which is onboarding. How was, the whole onboarding process and the setup experience for you?
It was good. We were, like I said, we were new at it. We had a few people there that we're still looking at possibly having them be more involved in it. But with me doing most of the quoting and everything, it was kind of Matt and I, for Matt to be able to check and see everything we wanted. But the classes were good. The understanding of, I mean, you guys knew what you were talking about when you actually explained the stuff to us. You did a good job explaining it to us. Sometimes we just have to be told 4 or 5 times before we actually get it and it goes through. And so that's what's helped with the one-on-ones with Ramsey, with you, and helps me to sometimes get it stuck in my head that this is how it works. Um, Even though it is very user friendly, I mean, you can almost go right through and just figure it out on your own, and that's something that we really like about it too.
You say to tell you 3 or 4 times, but honestly, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Is the fastest way to learn is just to kind of go through and use it. And those working sessions, I think, get you the most value, 100%. So, you know, it- speaking about working with me and working with our team, how has it been working with us so far?
It's been great. I I really never thought that. I mean, I know we'd scheduled sessions and stuff, and so any other time I've done sessions before with companies, it's that's the time you get hold of us. That's the only time we have other things that are going on, and I've never once had where I sent you an email or a question and you didn't get usually right back with me. If it was late, the next day you got back with me. I mean, that's helpful because at that point I am working in Cabletech and I've come to like a stopping point. I can't really necessarily go any further. So it's very important that I have that question answered. And never once had a problem with you not doing that. I mean, it's been great. I must say, it reminds me of CalcuQuote's team because they have a very well-known reputation for taking care of their customers, and you guys are very much so like that.
That's high praise, and we appreciate it. I'd say we respect the folks at Calci Code as well, and we understand service really goes a long way. So I appreciate the kind words. I know I am usually the one getting back to you, so I take it to heart. And you already answered this. I was going to ask you how responsive we've been, but in terms of the availability, like you said, I am pretty busy, so I do try to get back to you. But you know, uh, it's definitely something where we've been fortunate to be able to handle all that, and I work hard to try and do it, and I think it's nice to be seen, and I hope it's helping drive the value because what you said was you're already in the system and you have to get things done. And so I want to shift gears into results and impact and the value that we've given you because when you can't do it in the system, if you hit that blocker, you're going back to the old way. And what's the difference? What results have you seen in Quote Tech compared to how you used to do things before?
Um, well, kind of an odd thing was, eh, So always before, CalcuQuote has a way of sending out RFQs that is fully digital kind of, and they send them out. I mean, it sends it a link, and the person goes in and makes their changes in their link. Your guys is an RFQ, and it's simple. And my first thought was that I didn't think it would be very well received, but every one of my suppliers that I've sent it to says they like it much better than the way I have sent it before, because the other way sometimes doesn't quite work right, is a little confusing. This is just an Excel spreadsheet with what the information that they need, and they can fill it in and send it back to me, and I have no problem adding it right back in. So it's worked in ways that I didn't even think. I really didn't think that would work. I thought that's something that would need to be beefed up later on down the line, but they don't want it beefed up. And if that helps my supplier get me my information back quicker, I'm fine with it. That works great for me.
Yeah, and how I think this is a key point to a lot of people's decision is really how has that affected the turnaround time for you? Because our whole point is saving you time. And I think what people don't realize is there's two parts to that. One is the amount of time you're spending on the quote, and you talked a little bit about that earlier, and maybe we'll touch back there on a second of how it's sped up that bomb extraction. But the other one is this idle time where you're waiting for your suppliers to get back to you, and you can't really do anything about that. How has that RFQ process really sped up the idle time?
Yeah, like I said, they're not. I usually always get those RFQs back within the same day, which is nice, because the other ones I wouldn't. Sometimes it might be 2 or 3 days, like almost like they put me at the end of their line because they didn't want to have to do it. So that's been helpful. Just the process of putting the RFQ in is simple and easy. Something doesn't always have to be complex, and sometimes it gets made complex by trying to make it easy, and that doesn't help any. Cableteque doesn't do that. Like I said, the upload process, being able to put that information even in between. I love how when I've already done a quote a certain way, when I go back in and do another quote that's similar to it, it automatically remembers all my fields, all of my columns, where everything's at. I don't have to go back in and name everything again. So I've already any type of mapping is already done for me because it knows where it's at. That's time there. Every single little bit, even microseconds of time, do add up. And if you're doing a lot of quotes, it's saving you all this time. And yeah, there's just not really a comparison to it.
I know you mentioned earlier that you went from 40 minutes to 10 minutes. I know you said you're waiting on, these suppliers to get back to you that maybe 2, 3 days sometimes. Now they're same day. If you had to put a number on just your overall quote turnaround, I don't know if you've measured this specifically, but just kind of think back to the pieces that you've given me. How much time have we been able to accelerate or speed up this process for you when it comes to just getting the quote out back to the customer, that turnaround time?
I would say overall, even with whether it's a very complicated bomb or whether it's a simple bomb, you guys have definitely cut the time in half for sure. And a lot of those, if it's a simpler bomb, I mean, it's really not comparison. I mean, if you're 4 or 5 times faster, quicker to get it through and in, because you don't, if it's not, like I said, if it's something you've already done, it's going to remember everything that you want, how you want it set, and you're already, I mean, within a few clicks, you're already pricing it, and it's probably already priced for you. You're just making some choices, and you're good to go, and then you can get it back to customer.
If you had to choose a standout metric or an example, what's the thing that pops in your head? You're like at that moment where you're like, man, I'm glad I have this.
I'd say so. We have one customer that we've been doing quoting for that has a very complex bomb. It's a wire harness bomb. There's many nets. I'm upwards of 150 nets for a wire harness bomb, and we've done one of them in Cableteque, and then to come back and do another one just similar to it. And like I said, the uploading of the BOM process was quick. Then it remembered the stuff that I had. It also remembered the wire type, color, all of that information. So I did not have to input it again. Even if I had it in Excel and had to upload it again, that's just something else I'm having to do again each time. This remembered it. And so to run the second one through of that, it was not even compared how quick it was to get it through, to get it back to customer. And then we don't have to worry about, because I mean, you get a bunch of big quotes like that. It does become a little bit of a headache and a little bit of a man, I've got a lot of stuff to do. On these, you just have to get like the first one through, and it's not that much of a headache. And then boom, it just knows it learns as it goes and recognizes what's going on.
And what's kind of the biggest difference of before and after Cableteque?
I don't have to enter a lot of data. That's one thing. Whether it was, like I said, putting it on a spreadsheet and then entering in, or any of that, I just get the BOM or the print, get it in there, and the Cableteque take care of it. And then I'm dealing with pricing, which is what I should be dealing with within a few minutes. And I mean, that's huge, because I spent a lot of back time preparing the print or the BOM or whatever it was to be able to input that information in. So it's not just once you get that information into CalcuQuote or whatever you're using, it's you have to prepare it so that it can actually receive and understand what you're talking about. You don't have to do that with Cableteque. It automatically understands what it is. And even if it gets a column off or something, you can go right in and change it. You know what it is. So you're not having to change and map everything, maybe just making a couple little adjustments to it. And that's huge.
You know, I want to shift into something you mentioned earlier, which was, you know, it's kind of annoying or tedious to have to go through and input these time and time again when you have so many harnesses you're working with. How has this changed your day-to-day workflow?
Well, honestly, I have kind of three hats that I wear. And so doing the PM work and doing purchasing and doing this, it helps my purchasing out a whole lot because I have more time to focus on it. Same with my PM work. So my day-to-day workflow has gotten less. It's odd because I used to spend hours a week doing just quoting, and I don't have to do that now. I can get through and get the stuff done that I need done. I can just do a little bit each day if I want to, and still it's enough to keep me caught up so that I don't get behind on anything. And yeah, I mean, I was just talking to one of the guys the other day about I almost feel like I'm caught up, and that's scary because caught up's not something you know very well, and that's helpful because some of that is because of Cableteque.
How do you feel now? You know, to even say that, how do you feel now compared to before you started using Quoteque?
It's odd, I'll say that. It just is, because once you learn a certain way to do quotes and to do that, you learn little things that you try and figure out to make it quicker yourself, even to almost kind of cheat the system to make it quicker to go through. And once you do those and it's still not that much quicker, it's just, you have to go through the same process. The process comes out great in the end, but it's a long process to go through, and I don't have that with Cableteque. It's quick, it's fast. I don't have to spend a lot of time in it. Once I understood how to run it, I just kind of have to get out of the way and let it do its work. And that's been probably the biggest help for me, just learning to get out of the way and let it do its job.
You know, thinking about it a little bit, what does this mean for you and the business going forward? You know, how this getting out of the way and letting it do its job and being able to actually focus on these other hats that you have. What does that mean for you?
Well, it means that so we've been growing leaps and bounds in our wire harness department. We've almost doubled in production quantity and people that we have here to work. That means that instead of me having a ton more work to do, I'm still managing with what I have. So we don't have to specifically worry about bringing on more staff in here to take care of that, because I can still take care of it and do a good job at it with Cableteque. We can start showing some other people how to do it in case we can utilize them in other areas here to do the same thing. So it's just running out of bad things that all I can find is good things, and it's been a big help.
You're growing. You said you've almost doubled. At some point, you're gonna have to bring in someone else. So hit me up when you need someone to help train. I'm happy to help you there, and we'll make sure that they can take over and do as much as you need them to. We're shifting to the last part, and I'm wondering, what would you tell someone who is considering Cableteque but hasn't quite been pushed over into that decision yet?
That's a good question. I think I would tell them the old saying that the proof is in the pudding. So when you actually use it and recognize what it will do, you won't need me to tell you. You won't need Ramsey or any of the guys to tell you how good it is. You'll be able to see it. You'll know it's actually working. And because literally we thought, we heard about what it would do, and we just said and thought, no, it really can't. It could do some really cool things and really do a good job, but it can't do all that. There's no way. And when it could, it blows your mind away. I would just literally tell someone that was a little on the edge about it to let it work, to give it a chance and let it work, because once you do, you will be surprised. And I don't care what you've been using. Other than that, you'll be surprised at what it can do.
So is it safe to say you'd recommend us to others? And why if you do?
Yeah. We have been. We've been telling anyone that we know that we have some companies that are close to us, and we kind of ask what they're doing. We're like, well, you should probably be looking into Cableteque, because they're going to take care of the needs that you have when it comes to this and save you so much time and energy. And so, yeah, we try and tell anyone that we can about it, because it's a no-brainer. It's a good idea. It works well. I mean, why would you not tell people about it?
Thank you. One last question, and it's a quick one. If you had to sum up your experience in one word or one phrase, what would it be?
One word or one phrase. Enjoyable. It's been enjoyable. Not like
That's not something you hear about quoting.
No. Yeah, it's been enjoyable. Fresh.
Well, Ben, we really appreciate your time today, and all the kind words. It's been a pleasure. Super excited to have you with us. Every time that I get your messages, I'm happy to respond, because you're always easy to work with. So I hope we get to continue our relationship into the distant future, and I appreciate your time. Like I said, it's good to see you.
Yep, no problem at all. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.